Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Perri Nemiroff from Collider. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce actor Juliette Lewis from Yellowjackets. Hello, you are wonderful in this show and I am obsessed with it.
Yay. Hi, thank you. Thank you for that intro and all that this group is doing.
Absolutely. All right. So I wanted to start at the beginning with you. When an opportunity like this first comes your way, what was it about the project and also the character that you were most excited to tackle? But then on top of that, what is something that wound up being surprising in terms of how creatively fulfilling it wound up being along the way?
First of all, it's the writing. It was a fresh idea on the page. As you know, or some people know, you tend to only read a script. When you do a series, the pilot script I read, or if you're lucky, sometimes you read two scripts. But the pilot script was one of the best, most riveting, exciting scripts I'd read in a decade plus. I guess since Tracy Letts and August Osage County, like on par, just rich, amazing storytelling. So it was the script. And then I loved that in the pilot, you didn't know Natalie. I like a slow unravel of a character. And I love the whole reveal and conceal what a identity, what a person reveals to you and what they're hiding was very intriguing. And then I sat for a pitch and it was really fascinating. Sitting with Ashley and Bart, who they're a couple who created the show and they're quite brilliant.
I have so many follow-ups to that. First,
I have so many answers. When you said what's the surprising, but I didn't know if I should do the whole enchilada in one go.
So when it comes to signing on to a show, when you only get the opportunity to read the pilot, it can be more broad, the answer to this question, but what are you looking for in a pilot script to not only make sure that it is a good episode, but that it's a show with potential to go the distance?
Exactly. So part of it is there's a whole art to serializing. Can you say serialization? Is that a word or did I just invent it? To serial storytelling, it's an art form I don't even pretend to know. Other than when they told me the story of flashing back and the survival story, and then in present day, how the older characters deal with trauma and how their haphazard, messy existence with some dark edges and frills, all because of how they survived back when. And even that will be interesting, a second season of what did they do in the woods? Who did they become as in emergency settings? All of that was rife with amazing potential for drama. Just even if you just took your 5 friends and you put us like a plane crash or an earthquake or emergency settings, there's certain parts of people's personalities that come out in those times that are quite surprising. Like even myself, I've lived in an earthquake, a hurricane, a car crashes, and I go super calm, super I've had where you're on a plane and it almost fall. I mean, it did fall, but obviously we didn't crash. Before I shot Cape Fear. And so you're like, oh, this is what terror feels like, but it's a very quiet, frozen terror.
What a good quality to stay calm in that kind of pressure. Well, now I kind of have to ask just for fun. So I'm sure you've been asked something along this lines before, but like hypothetically, let's say you're stranded in the woods in this type of situation. What's what's like a seemingly silly thing that would do you in? It's like, for example, I think I would do pretty well in those types of situations, but I wear contact lenses. And like, what would I do when I ran out of contact lens solution? I would do nothing. I would not be able to see. And that would do me in.
Wow. Oh, I was just thinking, like, how bad is your eyesight? But that's real. Your other senses would heighten. I feel like survival and the potential of what comes out of a person is really wild. Like you see or hear about videos where mothers could lift up a car to save their toddler. There's things that come out of us. I mean, this is not the same, but my dog, I thought a coyote had got my dog. There's a yard and it's night and I heard this crying. And I went out thinking there was a pup in a coyote's mouth. And I like turned into some monster, like, yeah, because I thought I was going to tackle a coyote or a pack of. So it's just funny what I chose to do without thinking, and I went into primal animalism because I thought I'm going to attack an animal. So it makes sense. But I didn't answer your original question when you said what would be interest for a long-term for series. I was looking for that beautiful word we use a lot now, sustainability. So like what character for me would sustain me long term? Because I do come from film where my DNA is so entrenched in, we shoot everything 1 to 3 months, you're done. You know the whole story, you know your character, you work with one director. TV, totally different medium. Sometimes there's 5 voices. So I was looking for a character that you would not know exactly who she is. She's going to reveal herself through time. And part of the pitch, the show creators use the word chameleon, and what actor doesn't like a shape-shifting presence? So I feel like we find Natalie in the first season very much, she comes home and there's a murder. And so we're seeing a person, that horrible but lovely, apropos expression, circling the drain, or scraping the bottom. That's where we see that person. I didn't know that was going to be her story. Okay. So I was just dove into, oh, I see. She's going here, and then she's going to go right out down the bottom at the end. Didn't know it. Yeah, they didn't know it. Oh, wow. Okay. So then here's my next question for you. So it's a great opportunity when you get to play a chameleon and an evolving character throughout a series. But what is it like for you having to work on the actual filming process while you're getting more information about the character on the spot? How do you create, I guess, a foundation for Natalie, but also be able to incorporate this new information as you get it? Yeah, it's a strange medium, TV, and remarkable for me because it's so different. I never get used to it. I've done 2 TV shows. I'll go now to the second season. I just never can get used to it. It's like spinning plates. What's that, Dr. Seuss and he is 5 hands? That's what you feel like because you're also getting rewrites and for the next script. And then you have what you thought the roots were, but no, she's going to go over here. Yeah. So what the core was, it was trauma, and an individual, and that she was good with a gun, right? We learned each one has different traits that they're good, and that's unwavering. And then obviously her background. So I took that she was. I can't explain it. Now I'm like getting into painting. I can get really metaphysical, energy-based, because that's what people are. And at this point in her life, the concentrate of her was really heavy. It was heavy to live in. And fortunately, for art, I had just come from 2020. having my spirit fractured. But also I've lived through my own, we all have our own war wounds. So that's what I was exposing or utilizing in this piece.
Of all the new information that you got about the character throughout the filming process, was there any particular part of her story that inspired you to ask the creators, the director, the writers, whoever it may be, like questions, like a new piece of information about her that maybe didn't present itself super clearly right out the gate, but you talked it through and then you really understood it, and maybe talking it through made it even better?
I love your questions.
That makes me so happy.
I love your questions. And it's odd because I really admire actors who can roll with the punches and just navigate the waters of serial storytelling. I told the creators right off the bat, I was like, any huge turns, any of this, please tell me. I don't roll with the punches. I like to know things. So they were helpful because everybody had a different process. Tawny Cypress didn't want to know anything where you're going. But truthfully, as we learn, a lot of shows, sometimes there are characters, they discover something that they didn't think, or they go somewhere else, and they allow for that creative process. So Natalie, out of all the characters, that big surprise at the end, that was not pre-known. Do I tell these things? Has people seen the show? Like,
people have had some time to see the show.
Yeah, I did not know I would have a gun here at the end of the season. That would have been neat to know, because I might have played her more colorful, more manic. However, that's just my own self-criticism. But the surprising thing that she did was the love for Misty, how that switched. Because in the beginning, you thought she's like tough, and they're the like odd couple, Christina Ricci and myself, who I love. I love all Melanie, Tawny. They were all, I couldn't believe this remarkable cast of females. And of course, the younger cast, but that was our core. We worked together. Anyway, Misty and her are an odd couple. And then you have that scene where she wants her as a friend. So I love the subversion of realities. And it went topsy-turvy with Natalie. Did it not? She was like concrete on the outside, and then she became all soft and fragile, and that was fascinating.
Oh, I am going to have some Misty questions for you. But the first person in this cast I wanted to bring up is Sophie Thatcher, who is incredible as the young Natalie. So I was wondering, what was your first reaction when you first found out that she was playing the younger you? Because if I'm being completely honest, like, let's say someone handed me both of your headshots, I would have been like, I don't know, but like that could work. But the way the two of you carry yourself and deliver your lines and just completely lose yourself in the role, it lines up more perfectly than I ever could have imagined.
I look at the younger actors, and it truly is a testament to the casting producers and show creators it's a cosmic level of picking people. There's just a synergy that happened, and superficially you wouldn't know that it's a match, right? Sophie, I can't say enough great things about her, because she's so present and special and strange and daring, and that's her, and she's doing other really amazing things. And so I'm so proud of her. And we connected intuitively, and we're very similar. We liked similar music for Natalie, and also what else? Oh, the voice. I mean, she has a lower register voice. That's not always a thing with all females. I've had this voice. I was like Froggy when I was 7. I had this voice. I grew into my voice. That's what I always say. Oh, but she's so wonderful. I love her. She said she looked at me a little bit, which was neat. And yeah, I don't know. She's amazing.
What is something that she brought to the table that maybe helped you access something in your own version of Natalie? Something that maybe you either couldn't have reached without her and her input, or maybe didn't even know was there?
Yeah, I think, well, what she did and what is the storyline, she imbued my present day Natalie with a life and light and color that present day Natalie was not living in, right? So that's Sophie creating the heart, more of a even though she's tough, but there is, in youth, no matter your hardship, there's a little bit more, I want to say, buoyancy. Is that yes? There's a little, you're not as lived in and sedentary as later. So anyway, that's Natalie. Later, to me, I feel like she's in a tomb, an insular. Anyway, it goes real dark. It was so dark to be her. But Sophie has some color and change and discovery, the early sexuality, all that good juicy stuff that she delivered in the story, I'm sure helped with people's perception of me and what I was doing. Yeah.
It really is incredible how layered that is. Actually, here's another layer to that question. I'm not even sure if this is a factor for you, but I am curious because I'm sure you weren't on set, watching her do all her scenes. But now that the show's been out and you've all seen the finished product, is there anything she did in season 1 in her scenes that you think might influence how you tackle your work in season 2?
Well, I have to tell you, I've only seen a couple of episodes.
See, I find a great show and I'm like, everyone watches it, right? But like when you're in it, I imagine that it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. I've seen a couple episodes to see how really neat they've achieved all the mashup of tones and, that it's funny and dark and real, it's a complex stew of interesting things. But no, I haven't watched it, and I've been filming other stuff. I try to let go of myself as a performer in between projects. Otherwise, I would lose my marbles. So I spend a lot of time with my mom. And like, we're going to go to the park, what's it, Sequoia National Park. We've never been. So things like that. I try to let go a lot of show business person world of more. I mean, I have to. And then what was I going to say? Oh, I think, for the writers, I mean, they're gonna, I think that'll be really interesting how they utilize the gifts of each actor that they have. Yeah. I have no idea what's going to happen next.
I cannot wait to find out. I have so many theories. I can't wait to see if any of them actually are true. So going back to working with Christina now, I love asking about working with a good scene partner. So what's something about the way that she operates on set as a scene partner that you really appreciated and helped you tap into something in your own work that maybe you wouldn't have been able to reach without her?
So many wonderful things. And actually, I had the most scenes with her. So she was like the kickoff to this experience. And what it does is it just gives your experience on a set even more confidence. You're just like, because they hold their own so richly. And Christina, one of the biggest, I wanted to say Melanie does, and Tawny, it was so remarkable that we all worked very similarly, just real no nonsense, all very experienced, No one brings any baggage of like strange hierarchy or ego, none of that within us. But Christina, I just loved, she knows this, not loved. I adore her and she explains we kind of have a sister relationship. But the one big thing I noticed is we're so similar in how we come to set with like, yeah, I like my mic here. We need this, that, just like old veterans that I nicknamed us Joan and Betty, because we just come on the set, me practically smoking like, yeah, okay, well, can you put my tea over here? Okay, ready? And action. We're like just old timers together in our midlife, because she was a kid, I was a kid when we started. It's really cute. I love her so.
Whatever's lining up there, it works really damn well on screen.
I know it's so weird to be adversarial or like to be snotty, because us together, we just would chat just about people we've come across. She's easy to get on with.
How do you not break working opposite her? Because she delivers some lines that are just like, on paper, I probably like wouldn't even chuckle, but her delivery makes them laugh out loud hilarious in rather dark moments.
That's why I'm so glad later Natalie, I feel like secretly Natalie loves and reveres Misty like you would a dominant figure, and we know because where she comes from. So I'll be really interesting to see what that dynamic does when they're competitive versus duplicitous versus reverential, and admiring of each other. I forgot what the question was, but just that I think Natalie loves, I think secretly Natalie loves Misty. What if they had a relationship back when?
Honestly, I like the answer you're giving me more than the answer that my last question was asking for.
I set this stuff up because it's an anything goes series. When you put people on like a desert island and go, here's some twigs now, and then some ghosts, now figure some stuff out.
Oh, that's why it keeps me so engaged and on my toes. And it's really created an incredible fan base that's taking part via theories. And that's been one of the most exciting elements of the show.
So true. It's so true. They how fun. I wonder if they're like gambling. Exactly. I bet you blah 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 is gonna happen.
Oh, without a doubt. Here's a specific scene question for a scene that you shared with Christina. It's the one in episode 8. It's the Coke scene, because that is just a super frenetic moment that has this really great physical comedy element to it, but it also has a real heartbreaking undertone. So what was it like doing that scene with her and being able to sustain all of that at once?
I was really confused by the scene, because it was so comical to me. And I wanted to make sure to take care of the addiction story in that, I know that was Bart as well. He both Ashley and Bart wanted to make sure addiction, I just didn't want it to be cool ever or funny, but I know what happens in the scene is funny because it's Misty's thing. Oh, and anyone smacking another or a toughie to the face, that's funny. But I didn't see it. So you're saying it was heart-wrenching too? I hope so.
There definitely is that quality to it. And there's definitely that quality to it, I think, in your performance. And also, even though there is like that physical comedy in terms of how Misty stops her, there's also exuding from Christina's performance, like a deep concern about what her friend is about to do to herself.
Yes, there was that. And then I don't know how much they kept, but where Natalie throws stuff at her. Because a lot of it too was they were trying to or mirror their past selves of the teenage kind of behavior. But yeah, that was a really interesting scene. I should probably watch to see how it came off. I didn't fully understand it at the moment. Well, even Natalie taking a hit, I had to go, because I don't mind that, but the character they had set up, I would never think that she would just get smacked and not do anything. However, all I'm ever trying to do is problem solve and justify what the writers give me. So how I justify that is, oh, she must revere Misty, and there must be something in the woods that we don't know about for why she would allow herself to be smacked, yet be a tough guy with a dude like she's going to punch him. You know what I'm saying? So all those contradictions are what makes filming TV wild, because you don't know the answer yet till you're on the floor and you got to figure it all out.
So she's got this reverence for Misty that kind of, colors their relationship and their dynamic. But what about when you hit episode 6 and Natalie shares scenes with Shauna and Taissa? What were some priorities for you in terms of making Natalie's dynamic with them stand out compared to Misty?
So in my portrayal and my story with her is I was always aware of her chemical intake, or her how much booze she might have had. Is she taking pills? Did she smoke weed? Is she doing coke? So there's always it's interesting that people responded to some of this, but there's always a current of unraveling with her. So even when, no matter what the dialogue is, there's always, she's on a molecular level, toxic. And so that's her foundation. She's progressing into more toxicity, just her standing there. And so I always want people, I might sound crazy right now, but I always want people to have a visceral experience of a character that I'm doing. So when Shauna came into the room, and then I loved how Tawny was like the older sister who's helped bail her out. So you have these dynamics no matter how toxic the character feels in that moment. And then Shauna, they have their friction. It's really interesting. I know in TV, there's so much story to tell. I was curious in the editing if they cut out spaces, because like in music, I love used to talk a lot with this drummer. What you don't play is as important as what you play. So the space in between, the breath in between action is really fascinating to me.
The space in between. And I'm also, I'm very into valuing reaction shots that say so much without actually giving you dialogue. You have quite a few of those as well. I'll backtrack a little and I'll go, I think this was in episode 4 when you're physically on set with Sophie. And that's the only time the two of you are ever on set together. And your reaction shot in that particular moment, it's mere seconds, but it's so important because it needs to reflect her reminiscing on the past, but also the wheels turning in her head for the plan that she's putting into action now.
There you go. Done and done. You answered it. It's so special, that beat, to have your mirrored reflection and history of your young self. We really like that. And did they use the one where we mimic each other with the hand?
With the hand. I don't remember the specific gesture.
And we mirror each other's gesture, or just a reaction?
I think it's just you watching her as she moves through the room.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we shot a few variations of us. And so that's interesting. Yes, it's, as you just said, reflecting on her past. And then the pain. I just, as an older person, I wanted to show all that regret, wishing you'd done something different, almost like it's wistful as well, memories. It's a combination of things.
Slightly a lighter question now, but in episode 10, What is it like? What is the reality of filming a slow-mo entrance like what they do at the reunion? Does it feel to you as epic as it looks to us on screen cut together like that?
No, my little artistic mind doesn't let me go into a place of, yeah, this is awesome. I'm awesome. Maybe on stage when I'm performing rock and roll and in real time you have an exchange with people, and because I want to ignite their awesomeness, that I might have a supercharged alpha confident identity. So that's on stage in music. In acting, oh no, we don't think too confident. No, I'm just thinking about the scene, and then you leave it to editing and camera and storytelling and the DP and all that stuff to make it look like how it's supposed to. But no, I did. That was neat. I actually like that shot, and I do believe they kept where she looks at Misty and her thoughts. Wow, Misty, you clean up well. And then back to Natalie. But like, I did want to make this smiling. I just realized there's a love story. That's what it became with Natalie and Misty. It was really strange.
One of my favorite parts of the season. I cannot wait to see that progress. Yeah. All right. So I have to let you go soon. So I'm going to end with this one. So I'm sure that you very much believed in the show while you were making it, but the show has received an extremely special response that I think only select few projects out there get. So is there anything about the response to Yellowjackets that's really struck you in a unique way, even compared to all the hugely popular films and shows you've been a part of before?
Wow, that's really neat. I think I've just been in the present, trying to live life and exist as a human being, and then do the work at hand that I'm doing. I think it's weird because having done this, been in this business for 30 years, you kind of have a protective shield that never lets you celebrate your riches too much. So on the one hand, it's a good thing to have. But on the other, I don't know. It was the same when I had my band for 6 years. I was never able to go, hey, you're playing in front of 50,000 people with like Bjork or the Killers. Like, hey, have a moment. No, little worker bee is like, that's me. However, I am thrilled for everybody, the show creators and everyone who put so much love in it, and the writers. I mean, it's their moment, and what else? Having a hit. I don't quite know what that means because I know the floor can always be ripped out. So this is the realism of been in showbiz a long time. But I'm happy for people to be entertained and for the creators.
I very much understand that mentality, but celebrate your accomplishment a bit here too, because it is a very special show. Your performance is fantastic. On behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your process, and your craft with your fellow performers. Congratulations again, and thanks to everyone for watching.